right, we're live. Good evening, and welcome to the Working Wednesdays broadcast. I am your host, Audra V. Hurd. I'm so excited about my guest tonight. She is none other than author Stephanie Cooper, and she is also a podcast host of the Broken into Beautiful podcast. She actually had me on last year sometime. So we had a great conversation. It's so good to meet her beautiful spirit. Love connecting with her. So I'm so happy that she was able to come and join us tonight for the Working Wednesdays broadcast. So, real quick, Stephanie, go ahead, however you like to, and greet our audience tonight.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Audra, so much for having me on. I am excited about this opportunity and bringing my book to the light. It's been out for a couple of years now, but as I grow and my brand grows, it's definitely important to experience things like this to bring everything that I have available to light.
Awesome, awesome. So we are definitely spotlighting you tonight. I can't wait to jump into the conversation. But before we do, let's do our due diligence. Let's like, share, tag the video. We are live on our IBG Publications page. And for those who might be joining us for the first time, IBG Publications is a coaching, publishing, and marketing firm. So we do assist authors with getting their books published, market your book, coach you through the process of getting your book marketed to the masses. So I am the CEO. I'm also an author. I'm a coach, all that kind of good stuff. I don't call myself a life coach because I primarily deal with authors. But if you're looking to publish your book, you are more than welcome to visit our website at ibgpublications.com. Again, that is ibgpublications.com. And if you want to reach out to me by email, you can do so at admin@ibgpublications.com. So just a couple housekeeping things. After the broadcast is over, we do upload this to our YouTube channel. So you are more than welcome. Hop on over to YouTube, subscribe to our channel. You can catch this fantastic interview as well as many others that we have hosted on IBG TV. So I'm so excited to jump right on into the conversation. But before we do, I do want to take a moment and just officially introduce my guest tonight. So Stephanie Cooper is a published author, podcast host, teen mentor, and coach. She is a very passionate about helping women become the best version of themselves through healing and changing their mindset to manifest the life they want. That's so good. Manifestation. Stephanie has a coaching program called Cancel the Chaos. I can't wait to hear about that because some of us be like scatterbrained all over the place.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that topic for your coaching, where she helps women to make more sound and non emotional decisions in the midst of life happening to you. Her podcast, called Broken into Beautiful, is a platform created to encourage women to use their voice to tell their story. So, welcome, welcome, welcome to the broadcast tonight, Stephanie. We had you
Thank
greet our
you.
viewers. Thank you so much for coming out. So let's jump right on in. I don't want to go directly to the book just yet because that topic, cancel the chaos. I want to hear about that because I know myself as a business owner, sometimes we can get scatterbrained. Stuff is all over the place. So talk a little bit about, not a lot because I know that's your coaching program, but talk a little bit how you walk women or help women navigate through getting, through the chaos. How do you navigate us?
So, when you aren't trying to cancel the chaos, self doubt has a lot to do with it.
Yes.
You self doubt causes you to hesitate, which causes you to procrastinate. You don't believe in yourself in as much, so you're not as confident. Um, and then you tend to just fall back and not accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in Cancel the Chaos, it's a coaching call, which will turn it into a 4 week training program. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, it's just a 1 hour coaching call where I help guide you through your goals and trying to figure out how to make less emotional decisions, because
Mm.
sometimes when things are going on in life, it causes chaos. And
Yep.
then in in us trying to get out of the chaos, we make emotional decisions, which
Yeah.
then creates more chaos on top of the already existing chaos.
So true.
And so my call is to help decrease the chaos as much as possible to our whatever is in our control by not making emotional decisions
Mm-hmm.
and rewiring our brains to
Mm.
um, get over or overcome that self-doubt and that
Yeah.
lack of confidence and self-belief.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really good that you address the self doubt because I think that on every level that we try to achieve life goals, there's still some self doubt. You
Mm-hmm.
know, still some places of feeling like, can I really do this? You know, am I really worthy to receive the results that this will bring?
The
You
imposter
know,
syndrome.
ah, that's good. That's good because we all deal with it, you know, on one spectrum or the other. And
Yeah.
I know I personally deal with it at every level that I try to climb to. I know I personally deal with that, you know, especially when you know that you're tapping into something good and something great. And then here come the fears, you know, here come the hesitations, here comes, well, can I handle what's about to
Mm-hmm.
happen? You know, so
Yeah.
you start dealing with all of that. So that's actually a good, you know, program I'm recommending. I might need to get in that program myself. You know, honestly, because we deal with that, you know, on every level that we go to, and I know I'm personally dealing with it right now. You know, so that's good stuff. Let's talk a little bit about. I like the fact that you give women voices, and I'm a huge women's advocate. You know, of women being whole and complete. You know, we talked about that a little bit in your bio.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about your podcast a little bit and how you give women an opportunity. You know, to share their story and their testimony. You know, and things
Yeah.
like that.
So yeah, Broken Into Beautiful is my podcast. And it's really just a platform for us to be able to tell our stories because um, often and throughout our life, things have happened to us and we've been told, don't talk about it, sweep it under the
Mm,
rug, just get
yeah.
over it. Don't, what happens here stays here, never
Mm-hmm.
talk. And so we end up just keeping it inside, not voicing it, not using our voice. Um, and it hinders us. It also hinders others because I truly believe that sometimes we go through things for other people, not just ourselves.
Yes,
And if we
yes.
never tell our story or use our voice, then we can never help those other people.
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
I created the podcast just for that reason, to tell my story, my broken into beautiful story.
Mhm.
And I knew that everybody couldn't relate to my story. So I knew that I had to have women from all walks of life tell their story because I want to be able to reach as many women as possible. And in
Mhm.
order for them to me to do that, I had to have women that they could relate to, not just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. 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 That's key, you know. And it's really like sharing the platform, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sharing the stage, you know, because like you said, we don't have the ability to reach everybody. And so that's where the power of unity, you know, comes
Yeah.
together, so to speak. That you share your story, I share mine, and she shares hers, and then now we've got a collective story of triumph, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
of victory, you know, so somebody out there listening can know that, you know, you never know who you bring on and who might be listening and going
Yeah.
through what that person went through and thinking they can't make it, or you know, I can't survive, or how am I gonna, you know, pull myself out of this. And so that's where that unity comes in, where we're sharing our story and reaching, you
Mm-hmm.
know, women from all places, all walks of life. Talk a little bit how people can get on the show, and then we're going to transition. But I know we talked about that briefly in the green room. But how can people get on the show?
Yeah. First, let me say, when you listen to my podcast, if you want to share your story, don't be intimidated by other people's story. Because sometimes I get women, they're like, oh, man, I've been listening to your podcast and my story is nothing like some of the women that I've
Mm-hmm.
heard. Well, it's not supposed to be.
Right.
And
Right.
don't be afraid to, don't let that self-doubt kick in to stop you from telling your story. Because I promise you, there's somebody out there that relates to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
and if you like to tell your story, um, you can contact me on Facebook or IG. I have a Linktree link in there, and you can click on that, and it'll take you to a list of items that you could do. And one of them is called a podcast preview, and that's where you can schedule a call with me, and we can kind of go over your story, prep you, and prepare you to be able to record your episode on Broken into Beautiful. And telling your story is very, very healing. The more you tell it, the more healing you get.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I'm an advocate of telling your story through writing it. Because there's so much healing in writing. There's healing in talking about it. There's
Mm-hmm.
healing in writing. And so healing comes in phases and stages.
Yeah.
And I think some people kind of miss certain stages of it, because they don't talk about it, because you keep it bottled in. And like you said, somebody needs to hear it. And I kind of hate when people get intimidated by listening to someone else's story, because you might get intimidated by my story, and then I'll listen to your story and be like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I cannot go through that. So I think that God tailor makes what we go through because he knows what we can handle,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. So let's talk about your book. What inspired you to write your first book?
Um, Actually, my friends did.
Oh,
So
okay. You had some
I've
pushers.
yeah, I had some pushes, and I've always been a person that I'm a words person. I love words. So if I hear a quote or a statement or a scripture that really sticks to me or I relate to, I save
Hmm.
it somewhere. I write it on an index card or write it in a notebook or something. But the most popular thing I did was I wrote it in an index card, and I would keep. I don't know if you remember those little, I think 5x7 photo albums, and I
Hmm.
would keep
Yes.
I would keep the cards, the index cards, and they'd be different
Wow.
colors. I keep them in
Okay.
that, and I keep it in my purse, and
Hmm.
I just go through to have it. And if I'm going through a day, I go through that and just find something that could help get me together. And then also, as I was talking to women, I would be having a conversation with the woman, and they say something or tell me what they're going through, and I'd be like, wait a minute, I got a card for that. And I would
Wow.
go into the photo album, pull out the card, and give it to them, and then I rewrite
Oh,
it
wow.
and
Okay.
put it back in there.
I
And
love
so
that. I absolutely love that. I
yeah.
do.
And
Wow.
so at the time, the church that I was attending, we had small groups. And whenever my friends and I would meet for our small group and we talk, I'd be like, oh, I got a card. And they'd be like, oh God, here's Stephanie with these cards again. And
Uh-huh.
eventually they were like, why don't you just write a book? And I was like, and say what?
Like
They
you
were
have a whole
right, that's the imposter syndrome kicking in. And I'm like,
right,
what am I
right.
supposed to say that has not already been said already? What makes me
Yeah.
so special? And they
Yeah.
were like, Stephanie, you carry around these cards and you give to us, you give to people, and you inspire people. You can write a book, make them a book.
Mm.
And so I started looking into it and doing
Mhm.
it. And I got with uh, a media company that could help me with a ghostwriter. But when I got with her, we realized that I already had the book written. It just
Mhm.
there was just certain things that needed to be added because I wanted to make a 30-day devotional. And I
Mm.
had enough cards and scriptures and statements to actually make them into a book. We just had to add
Wow.
a little bit here and there to make
Mhm.
them a little longer, some of them.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
already had the book and didn't know it.
Wow.
And so that saying where you already have everything you need to
Uh-huh.
succeed, I
Uh-huh.
really did. I
Uh-huh.
already had a book in my purse and I was carrying it
Right.
and didn't even realize
Wow, that was so, I call that prophetic
it.
to, like of all the times I've heard people say they wrote a book, I never heard someone say they did that they were actually put them on the, because that's, to me, that's old school, put them on right on the index card, and then to go put it in a photo album. Who even knows those exist anymore?
I know. Dollar Tree, because I
Exactly.
still keep stacks of colorful note index cards.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
write on them as much because now there's my phone. So I have my phone, and I actually have Pinterest where I save a lot of scriptures and quotes and statements that I like in
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest. So I'm still saving them somewhere, just not
Mm-hmm.
actually writing them. And then I still give them to
Yeah.
people, send them as pictures to people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at work every day, I give my team a quote of the day,
Mm-hmm.
just using the stuff that I already have.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's why I said it was prophetic that you were carrying that around because it was like you were already carrying your book and you didn't even know it.
had no
So,
idea.
wow, that's good stuff. I like to hear, different perspectives on how people started their first book. So do you still? So you said you still have that in your purse? You still use it,
No,
or?
I still don't have it, but I still have index cards that are ready. I can easily write a quote on them and give it to somebody. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. I wish I could find it. I
Okay.
lost it. Um,
Wow.
but I guess I have a copy of it actually in my book because my book is all of those index cards.
Wow. I want to elaborate on that real fast because a lot of people don't realize the power of writing things down.
Hmm.
It's one thing when we type it in the computer, but when you actually sit there and write, it actually becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of your subconscious mind. I'm actually in the midst of 30 to 45 days of doing that writing, 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 not sitting to the computer, getting away from the computer and just actually writing it down. So I just want to say, to whomever's listening, that if you don't know how to use a computer, but you are writing it down, there's still power in that.
Yeah,
You've just heard
absolutely.
this phenomenal story. Like, this is phenomenal to me because, I love books. So it's phenomenal to me that you were actually writing this down and then you were actually giving it to people, which was still prophetic to you giving them a book, so to speak. You were giving them a piece of your book.
Yeah.
So I love that story. So, writing the book, I know you said that, your friends encouraged you and were like, you already have it, but how did it impact you to actually start putting it together and then get to that point of seeing this actual book in your hands? How did that process impact you?
Um, for my first process, I think it was very encouraging and scary and um, uplifting because I realized that not everybody was in the situation that I was in. I already had a book. So
Mm-hmm.
it literally took less than a year to get it all on a manuscript, corrected, and
Mm-hmm.
published.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it takes longer than that for most people.
Yeah, it does.
And so the fact that I was able to do that in less than a year,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow. I felt
Mm.
special because I had it and didn't even know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Wow. It took me 10 years to get my first book wrote. So,
Wow.
yeah, to
Yeah.
hear you didn't your first one in less than a year. That's the power of perseverance. That's the power of just knowing that you had something valuable. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people don't realize that they're holding on to something valuable, and the fact that you were already giving it out and already blessing people with it was just like, that was just the next step. It was like, what else are you going to do next?
Yeah, because a book was far from my mind. That was the last thing I was thinking of. I was just trying to encourage people and
Mm-hmm.
myself with words because words are powerful.
Yeah.
Um, I really had no idea that it would become a book, and so just that whole experience is it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to write another one, but I don't. I keep going back to my. However, that first experience was so
Yeah.
beautiful and
Yeah.
fast
Yeah.
and already there. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't have that now. Now I really got to put in some work and write.
Yeah, you do. Welcome to my world. Wow. So what are your wishes, when people get the book? What do you wish that they experience when they get the book?
Um, I like to call it a motivational devotional
Mhm.
because I wanted to be able to motivate you The book is called Talitha Koum, Little Girl I Say to You, Get Up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based off the story in the Bible in Mark where Jesus went to heal the little girl and she had already died.
Mm-hmm.
And the words he said to her is Talitha Koum, little girl I say to you, arise or get up.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that as a title um, because a lot of times we're sleeping on ourselves, we're sleeping on
Mm.
our gifts, we're
Ooh, that gave
sleeping
me
on the
chills.
book that we have in our purse,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
we
Yes.
just it's just there. Everything we need is there, and we're not
Yeah.
noticing it, acknowledging it. We're not doing anything about it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wrote the devotional to motivate women to get up, to motivate them to get through their day, to have better attitudes,
Yeah.
um, to realize the toxic things in their lives and how to get rid of them and things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that it will motivate people to get up,
Mm.
accomplish your goals,
Wow.
move in your purpose, write the
Mm-hmm.
book, start
Mm-hmm.
the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
open the
Mm-hmm.
business,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, get up and do it. You can't do it until you get up to start.
Yeah, that's good. You said some people are sleeping on themselves. And I think a lot of people sleep on themselves their whole life to their gone to their grave.
Hmm.
And I think it's Les Brown that says there's so much wealth in the graveyard, of people who did not step out. And, what if you hadn't listened to your friends,
Yeah.
You would have missed that whole experience of giving birth to something that was so much larger than yourself. And really, I see it as a movement,
Hmm.
and your podcast goes right along with it, So some people, they are sleeping on themselves, they're not, tapping into, and I know sometimes life, it hands us things that make it hard, that make it
Yeah.
challenging, but at the end of the day, the question I'm going to put out there, in light of woman, get up, do your thing is, if your life was to end tomorrow, can you say that you've done everything that you know that you could have done?
Mm.
Have you
Yeah.
accomplished? If I close my eyes tomorrow, I wouldn't be satisfied. I wouldn't. And people think or feel like I'm so accomplished. I don't feel like I feel like I'm just starting to scratch the surface after all I've done, because I know that what's within me is to reach more.
Hmm.
I'm always looking for more. I'm always looking for somebody to bless, and I feel like once God uses me to bless somebody, I just move on to the next person because I don't feel like I'm done yet.
Yeah.
So to speak. So I pose that question. To someone living. I mean, listening, not living. Well, of course you're living, but listening to someone listening. Do you feel like you've gotten up and done, everything that there is in you to do? Do you feel like you have? So
Hmm.
when it comes to where you are, with your podcast and your book, do you feel like you've accomplished? Let me just pause right there. Do you feel like you've accomplished everything you desire with this book?
Um, I'd say no because none of this is anything that I desire. I didn't
Hmm.
a podcast, a
Okay.
book.
Okay.
That wasn't a part of my thing.
It wasn't your plan.
Yeah, so um
Okay.
I've learned to kind of take it as I go because I don't know what else God is gonna throw at me.
Okay.
Um, but I am happy that I've done it.
Hmm.
I do feel accomplished, but I know that there's still more.
Yeah. 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 Do you see? I know you said you'd be looking for what's the next book, but do you see yourself doing another book, even though you don't know what it's about right now?
Um, I'd like to do a children's book actually.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm thinking some other type of book, but I don't know.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have no idea what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes when people come on, it stirs them up. And
Mm-hmm.
then when they leave, they go, okay, I can see. And then it starts coming together. So
Yeah.
I think you're getting stirred up. Because when you said children's book, a light bulb, went off for me, with children's books. So good stuff, good stuff. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What do you see yourself doing?
Oh wow, the next 5 years. Um, it sounds a little the same, but
Okay.
I in the next 5 years I want to still be doing this. I want to still have the drive to encourage women, to empower women, to help women heal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to host workshops and retreats and um, conferences and even a healing circle.
Yeah.
Um, there's so many different ideas that I have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to continue to work towards that with the coaching and the empowering and encouraging and just see where it leads me.
Hmm. Wow. That's good stuff too. So it sounds like your vision has legs, so to speak.
Hmm.
Sounds like you're putting some legs onto the vision because the retreat sounds amazing. You
Yeah.
know, I know some people like to get away. And what kind of retreats do you see yourself doing? Do you see exotic places? Do you see just like a conference type place? What do you see with the retreats?
Um, I can see both. For the retreats, I see more something more so along the lines of a healing retreat, learning meditation and breath work and um, learning how to rewire our brains and mindsets and how to affirm ourselves. So more of a
Mm,
self-love and healing type of retreat. And then
mm,
for conferences, more so the whole in just empowering, motivating you to accomplish your goals and your dreams and to move and get up and do whatever it is that you want to do. So I can see myself on both sides, but definitely on the side of healing because there's
mm.
something that's drawing me to healing
Yeah.
um, and being healed all the way in relationships,
Mm-hmm.
in your finances, and
Yeah.
just in life in general,
Mm-hmm.
complete healing.
Yeah.
And something is drawing me to that for myself. And as I
Mm-hmm.
experience it on different levels, I want other women to experience it too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good. Let's bring our audience in for just a bit. I saw a few people were joined on with us. So, good evening, Tam. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining. I see a Pamela McKenzie joined us as well. So, thank you so much for joining. And that's all I can see on this end. So thank you to our audience for tuning in tonight. Please do us a favor, like, share, tag the video so someone can hear these encouraging messages that my guest has for you tonight. So let's talk about your legacy. What do
Oh,
you see as your legacy?
I think about that a lot
Hmm.
and what I would want my legacy to look like. What type of legacy would I want to leave behind? If I was called home to God tonight,
Mm-hmm.
what do I want people to remember me by?
Yeah.
And the biggest things are exactly what I'm doing: empowerment, um, encouraging women, empowering women, healing women, bringing women together to do more collaborations versus competing with each other,
Yes. Yes.
um, and just teaching us how to use our voice.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. So, what do you feel like's the greatest investment into your legacy that you've made? What's your greatest investment?
Um, So far, it's all been a great investment. Taking the time and the finances to uh, publish a book, to start a podcast, to maintain a podcast, um, to work on certifications and things like that for coaching that
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently doing now, so that you know I can have the skill set that I need to be able to accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish.
Gotcha.
So it's all been an investment and it's all been worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Hmm. Do you see yourself doing what you are doing with this aspect of your life? Do you see yourself doing this full time? Because I know you said you work at this present time. So,
Um, I would love to. I think that might be in the 5 year goal,
okay.
5 to 10 year goal.
Uh huh.
But that would definitely just to be able to have the freedom to be able to do that. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. Freedom is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, to just
I.
for someone to call and say, "Hey, Stephanie, we have a retreat that we want you to be a speaker at,
Mm,
or a conference we want you," and not having to say, "Okay, well, let me check with my job to see if I can take some time
right.
off to do
Right.
this." And so, yeah,
Right.
it
Right.
definitely would be a goal of mine.
Yeah. What excites you the most about what you do and the people that you serve?
Um, just hearing back from women
Mm-hmm.
and how I've impacted them, or someone on my podcast has impacted them, their story, they relate to the story, and um, how I've inspired them.
Mm. Wow. That's good stuff.
That I get so much joy from that. And in the beginning, when I first started my podcast, I was looking for women to interview, and now they're coming to me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to look for them anymore. They
Mm-hmm.
just come to me. They find me. I had one
Mm-hmm.
lady. She's I'm gonna be recording her soon, but she doesn't have Instagram. And I said, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
how did you find me?" She was like, "Well, I was Googling."
Wow.
And she was like, "I came across your podcast title, and I have a friend that has a book with the same title. And so I just wanted to
Oh.
look into it to see." And then I started listening, and I was like, "I really want to be on her podcast." And so she found a way to contact me through email,
Wow.
all
Wow.
from Google. And so to know that I've had that kind of reach,
Hmm.
um, is very inspiring.
Yeah, yeah, that is inspiring to know somebody because we live in the social media age, and so we
Mhm.
primarily the first reach is social media. But to know that she just was googling and found you is like, wow,
Yeah.
you're out there,
Right. So
whether
that's
you want to be or not, you're out there.
mhm.
Wow, wow, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So, we're actually gonna go ahead and start wrapping it up tonight. But before we wrap it up, one more time, like, share the video, comment, leave us some feedback. Let us know if you have any questions. Do you want to be
Yeah.
a guest on the podcast? We welcome any questions that are out there tonight. Somebody said, Pamela McKenzie actually says, "I'm proud of you." Are you familiar with her?
Yeah, she's like a second mommy to me.
Okay, I could tell by the way you smiled. I thought you was gonna say that was your mom. That's how you lit up.
Yeah.
Okay, well
So
she's on. She says, "I'm proud of you."
thank you.
So she's on with
I
us
call her
as
Mama
well.
Pam.
Okay. All right, Mama Pam. God bless you. Thank you for joining us tonight. So we'll leave the floor open for a few minutes for any
Hmm.
questions or comments or feedback anybody has. One more time with your coaching program.
Yes.
How do people get into your coaching program?
Same thing as with the podcast preview. If you click on my link tree in my Facebook or my Instagram, you will actually see a link to schedule a cancel the chaos call. And then you can schedule that call with me.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also, I do have my book just
Mhm.
so people can see what to look for. It's sold on online on Amazon and online at Barnes and Noble. And you can also contact me, and I can try to get some signed copies out. I have to order some more so I can get them signed. But to immediately get them, you can go online at Amazon.
Okay. Do you want to read some out the book? Is there anything there you want to share?
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, let's share some of the book.
Um, Okay. Day 2 is called You Are Set Apart.
Mm.
And it's the scripture that I use is Jeremiah 1:5. Each day has a scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." And the reading that I have after it is, "Today I want you to remember that you are different. You are set apart. You are not like the rest." Isn't that great? Who wants to be ordinary, plain, or usual? No one. You don't want to be that way, and God doesn't want you to be that way either. We talked about this a little yesterday, but let me just remind you that you were born with a distinct purpose. God says so in Jeremiah 1:5. He says that He set you apart even before you were born. So if you feel different, look different, act different, it's all a part of God's plan for you. He wants you to be different and stand out so that people are drawn to you because of those differences. God ultimately gets the glory because there is something different about you that will make others want to know more about you and how you got that way. There's more, but it's pretty long. So, um, oh wow, that reminds me of, I think it was a quote. Like I said, I give my team at work a quote every day,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to see. Yeah, it was, the quote said, "Don't be afraid to be different. Be afraid to be the same."
Mm. I like that. I love that.
So
I
that goes
love it.
well with that day, to say you are set apart. It's okay to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're not made to be the same. We're not
Yeah.
made to, although some of us may relate to some parts of our journeys or some stories that some women tell on my podcast, someone can relate to them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it may even be the same situation, but
Yeah.
how we handle them is different. Who we are is different. What we get from them is different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and being different is okay. And that's the biggest thing that we need to remember. It's okay to
Yeah.
be different.
But why do we have a fear of being different though? What where do you think that comes from?
I I can't say where it came from, but I know it starts young in school. Kids
Mm-hmm.
would tease other kids for being different
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
being different has been bad.
Right.
Um, and where did that mindset come from? How
Mm-hmm.
did we start thinking that way?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like people think being broken is bad. And I always like
Mm-hmm.
to say broken crayons still color.
Yeah.
When I was
Yeah.
little, I preferred the broken crayons over the new ones because they were already broken in. I got them,
Right. Right.
right?
They
I got
colored
them,
easier.
yeah. So broken was good.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So,
good. It's okay to be broken.
hmm
We have been ridiculed as a society. We ridicule people for being broken. But what circumstances led to the brokenness,
and
And
what's going
that,
to come from that brokenness, that beautiful that's going to
right.
come from the brokenness.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think that we miss that there is beauty, that will come from being broken. That, now you have the opportunity to help someone else to heal.
Hmm
And I think we miss that in the midst of our brokenness because we're so consumed in what we got going on, and, we're feeling some kind of way. It feels like it's never going to end. Those rough seasons, they feel like it ain't never going to end.
Ooh, yes.
It just feels that way. And then all of a sudden, one day, boop, the sun is shining. But
Yeah.
we can't forget that what we went through, the Bible says when we're converted, strengthen our brother. And so that's a responsibility that we have, from our brokenness. Don't just pop up and be beautiful and act like you ain't never went through nothing. Because then
hmm
you're no help to someone else who's in the midst of their brokenness, that
Yeah.
needs to know it ain't going to last forever. The caterpillar only stays in the
Oh
cocoon.
my gosh, you were in my head. I was gonna say, if I had to say, I had, my podcast had a mascot, it would be a butterfly. I
Yeah.
have butterflies on my book
Uh huh.
because a caterpillar goes through a hard transition to become a butterfly. It's lonely, cold, it's dark,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah.
They probably are close to death.
Mm.
And then, but once they make it through that process, they're a whole new insect. Now they have
Right.
wings and they can fly.
Mm-hmm.
Before they had to stay low or climb up trees to get high. Now they can fly
Mm.
everywhere and
Yeah.
go even further. But
Yeah.
it took a hard transition for that to happen.
Right, right. And you know what's funny about the butterfly is I don't know why, and I actually got one back here on my what you call it, my banner back there. But I was looking at a butterfly one day, and you know what's so funny? Up until this day, I never realized that a butterfly still partially looks like a caterpillar. I never
Hmm.
realized that. I don't know why. I guess because I was consumed with the beautiful wings that down the middle is that caterpillar.
Yep.
So even though he went through that hard transition, there was still something that he needed as a caterpillar to become a butterfly because he still resembles where it came from.
Hmm.
So that's good stuff. That transformation, it is hard. it's
Yeah.
it's it's
It's definitely
challenging.
hard.
Yeah, it's challenging, it's hard, and a lot of times I think that we just don't know how to navigate through it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that's why I love what you do, with your cancel the chaos, because you're teaching people, how to navigate through that. So
Yeah.
it's been a phenomenal time tonight. Before we sign off, let everybody know where they can find you and where they can get your books, all your hashtags, your handles that they call them, all that
Hmm.
good stuff.
Okay. So on Facebook, I am Stephanie Cooper. It's a very common name, but I'm on there, and you'll see my book in my cover. And I also have like a pink turban on my head, just
Hmm.
so you'll know it's me. But it's Stephanie Cooper on Facebook, and on Instagram it's Broken, BROKENN to beautiful. So broken into beautiful with two N's.
Mm.
Um, and on either one of those pages, you will be able to contact me some way, whether it's a Facebook message or Instagram message, or scheduling a call with me on my link tree, which is located on both pages. Um, and you can schedule a cancel the call, chaos call, or you can schedule a call for a podcast preview to be on my podcast. You can also use that link to go to my podcast to listen to it on different platforms, and you can also use it to purchase the book.
Awesome, awesome. And the link to purchase a book, it is in the description for the video. So you can check that. I'm gonna go ahead and actually put it inside the comments. So let me put it in the comments too, because sometimes people will read the comments. So let me put it in the comments so that way people can see it also. Da, 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 da. Okay, why isn't this going where I want it to go? Ah, all right. I'm gonna put this one in the comments. All right, so you can purchase the book. It's in the comments. It's also in the description, where you can go and get the book. Any final words before we sign off tonight, Stephanie?
Um, no. Well,
Okay.
yes. um, don't be afraid to use your voice.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to tell your story. So whether you're physically using your voice to tell your story or you're writing it in a book, don't be
Mm-hmm.
afraid. Don't let anyone dim your light. Telling your story is healing. And even when you first begin to tell your story, you may cry a little. It may still hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You may get some
Mm-hmm.
pings in there, but you'll realize that the more you tell it, the less you may cry, the less you may hurt, because it's healing to get it off your chest and to keep telling your story and to use your voice.
Hmm, that's good. Don't be afraid to use your voice in whatever form you need to use it in, whether it's verbal, whether it's written, whether it's artistically,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's on a platform for an interview, wherever, if it's in your local community. Sometimes your voice is necessary in your local community. Whatever platform that God has given you, don't be afraid to use your voice. So
Right.
I love that. I absolutely love that tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure. You're absolutely welcome. So, for those who just joined on with us, you can go catch the replay. Very good conversation about Stephanie, her book, her legacy, who she helps, women. She is an advocate for women through her podcast, through her coaching, all that kind of good stuff. So make sure you visit her on Instagram as well as Facebook. And did I hear you say Twitter? Did you say Twitter or
No, I'm
no?
not
No
on
Twitter.
Twitter.
Okay. No Twitter. No Twitter. I'm not big on Twitter either. I'm on there, but I'm hardly ever on it.
Yeah,
So, and after all these years, I just can't connect to it for some reason. But
me either.
that's me. I'm glad I ain't alone with that. But catch her on there, broken into beautiful, two ends, like she said. Catch her on Instagram, also on Facebook, Stephanie Cooper. And she'll be the woman with the beautiful turban on her head. So that's how you know that you have found her. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, I'm your host, Audra V. Hurd, IBG Publications. Visit us on the web. Go over to our YouTube channel because you can catch the interview here, and we will also upload the link once the interview becomes available. So, again, no more final words. We're going to sign off for tonight. Join us next week. My guest next week is going to be authoress Kesey Monique. So she will be with us next week. She was with us last season for the Working Wednesdays broadcast. Great conversation last season. So I'm looking forward to her coming back. She's doing all kind of good stuff now. Podcasts, more books, training courses. She's got great stuff going on. So join us next week, same time, same channel, same location here on IBG Publications. So God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Have yourselves a wonderful night.
Yes.